The M2A4 light tank might seem unremarkable at first glance in the early ranks of War Thunder, but behind that simple silhouette lies a design that marked a turning point in American armored doctrine and took part in decisive battles during World War II. Today we're going to take a deep dive into the M2A4, both in the virtual battlefield and in real life. We'll break down its armor, armament, weaknesses, and uncover the tank's true role in combat. But before we go any further, make sure to subscribe to the channel. It's free, takes just a couple of seconds, and helps us a lot to keep bringing you this kind of content. If you enjoy videos that combine gameplay with real military history, you're in the right place. Now let's get into it. In-game, the M2A4 comes equipped with a 37mm M5 cannon. It's a modest gun, but it performs well against lightly armored vehicles. A well-placed shot is usually enough to knock out an enemy. What really sets it apart, though, is the number of machine guns. 5. That's right, 5 Browning M1919.30 caliber machine guns. It may sound like overkill, but it actually makes sense when you consider the tactical context behind the M2A4's design. These machine guns are handy for dealing with infantry, soft targets, and even low-flying aircraft, if the player knows how to use them wisely. The armor, on the other hand, is a weak point. Up front, it averages around 25mm, which doesn't offer much protection, even against the weakest cannons. That means the M2A4 doesn't last long in head-on engagements. The trick is to use its mobility. The tank is fast, agile, and responds well to commands. It's great for flanking and setting up ambushes in urban areas or terrain with natural cover. In War Thunder, it stands out for that combination of speed, fast reload, and a reliable gun. But it also demands constant attention. A single well-placed enemy shot can wipe it out completely since the crew is small and poorly protected. But what really makes the M2A4 special is its history. It was born during a transitional period for the U.S. Army in the late 1930s. Up until then, the American approach to tanks was outdated, focused on vehicles armed only with machine guns, meant more for training than real combat. With conflicts heating up in Europe and Asia, the U.S. realized it had to modernize, and the M2A4 was the immediate answer. A light tank, but now with a proper cannon, capable of taking on other armored threats. Production started in 1940, and it served as the foundation for what would come next. The legendary M3 Stuart, one of the most widely produced light tanks of World War II. Even though only about 375 M2A4s were made, the tank saw real combat in the Battle of Guadalcanal, one of the key campaigns in the Pacific. That's where U.S. Marines put it to the test, facing tough terrain in Japanese ambushes with what they had. And the M2A4, despite its limitations, proved useful. Its mobility was ideal for jungle warfare, and its armament got the job done against entrenched positions. An interesting detail, the tank's overload of machine guns came from the fear of sudden infantry attacks in dense jungle. Designers wanted the M2A4 to be able to respond quickly from any direction. That's also why Marines appreciated the tank so much, even in small numbers. The M2A4 also served as a test bed. It allowed American engineers to identify what worked, like the chassis, the suspension system, and the fast rotating turret, and what needed improvement, like armor and crew protection. All of these lessons were carried over to the next design, the M3 Stuart. In the end, the M2A4 was a transitional tank. In War Thunder, it represents that spirit perfectly: agile, functional, but limited. In real life, it was a crucial step in developing the modern American armored force. If you enjoyed this deep dive into War Thunder and the real-life history behind the M2A4, go ahead and subscribe. It really helps us keep creating content like this. Leave a like, share it with your friends who love war games, and drop a comment. What's your experience with the M2A4? Do you think it's underrated in the game? See you in the next video. Until then.